song.
Let's go with the mathematics. No. So. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Can We Talk? This is your boy Eric, and I'm here with Shane and Anthony. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
All right.
Y'all. It's been a minute since I seen y'all. I miss y'all.
Have you caught up? Have you binge listened?
You know what? I've been busy. I've been on the road.
This is
I
your
feel
show,
bad.
man.
I feel bad. No, I've been doing these college tours and college fairs. It's been rough. It's been rough for me. But I will be traveling a little bit. You know, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to Chicago on the weekend of the 27th, 28th, or 27th through 30th. So I'm probably gonna miss the show again.
Yeah.
And then Toronto after that, then Atlanta after that. So it's a lot of traveling for me.
Oh, I had it in your trunk.
You gonna have it? Well, I'm gonna be flying. So
Hey, shout out to Nicole. She's a little under the weather today. She can't make it today. Yeah.
she was partying too hard. That's what happens.
Well, I don't want to put her business on.
That's what happens when you have a good time, though.
Did.
Right, a little under the weather. No, she's all right.
You
Nicole.
exemplify why she's under the weather. You could have just left it at that.
Yeah, man, but I really did miss y'all. A lot of stuff was going on out in the world, and I missed the last couple of episodes where we could have been talking about this stuff. But I know y'all had a great discussion about it. So let's get into a little bit of current events, and let me ring us in. So, Hurricane Florence.
Yeah.
Y'all, man, hurricane season is wild. It's wild this year.
Well, I mean, you know, we didn't treat Mother Nature well, and this is what happens.
I know you got the water heating up in the Atlantic Ocean and, you know, Pacific Oceans, and it's just creating all this crazy weather. And I'm just praying for those people. Hopefully, it's not a lot of casualties or loss.
It's
But
like 12 so far.
yeah, hopefully. But Donald Trump, you know, the way he calculates things in his head.
It was funny, man. I got to tell you about your least favorite person. Donald Trump was on the news. They asked him about Hurricane Florence. He said, look, stay out of its way. You know, don't try to be a hero. Just stay out of its way.
Oh.
I'm like, thank you, Sherlock.
Right. Thank you for telling us something we did.
It's not a bank robber.
Right.
Right. Just avoid it. Avoid it at all costs. And did y'all hear about what he said regarding Puerto Rico and Hurricane Maria? He was like, oh, they making up the death.
Numbers.
Yeah, the number of casualties. Like, oh, it was only like 16 when I was there.
That sounds like an Alex Jones statement.
Alex Jones is off the. He's crazy.
He got kicked off
They canceled him.
He's crazy.
everything.
He just be throwing these conspiracies out there, all this crazy stuff, man. But I just was so just upset by Donald Trump's sort of carelessness about talking about Hurricane Maria and the people who actually died. And there's actually, they show like this satellite image of the water that was just sitting there, like water bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah, sitting there for a year, like 1 million water bottles just sitting there.
All right,
Stop touching your cord.
Little technical difficulties there. But yeah, it was just sitting there on the runway.
And which is probably no good now because it's been sitting out in the sun in plastic.
Yeah, that's those chemicals and stuff getting into it and all that craziness.
Yeah, but it kind of reminded me of Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the negligence that went on with the preparation and then the aftermath of Katrina, because we still don't know how many people died in Katrina. And they say there's still 900 people, quote unquote, missing from Hurricane Katrina.
Wow.
So I see a lot of similarities between the treatment of, you know, the Hurricane Katrina aftermath and then the Hurricane Maria with Puerto Rico. Because I believe that there was a mass death toll, you know, before, you know, during and after the hurricane, because they had a mass power outage.
Right. And you think about people who are
And it went on for
generators, and
months.
old people who may need oxygen machines, don't have electricity. That's going to cause death. So, I mean, do y'all chalk it up as being incompetence, just don't care, or a little bit of both? I think it's a little bit of both. I think he just doesn't know how to handle these situations, and he just probably doesn't care, which is very unfortunate because you're dealing with a U.S. Territory who should be, first off, should be given citizenship and the right to vote.
I don't think incompetence is an excuse at this point, especially after what happened in Hurricane Katrina. You're supposed to be prepared. You're supposed to have experts in place to know how to implement certain things when it comes to natural disaster emergencies.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a new book out about Trump called Fear that is getting a lot of great reviews.
Oh, yeah.
I
Bob
agree.
Woodward, right?
Is it Bob Woodward? I believe so. Yeah, it's Bob Woodward right here. He's written books for other presidents. I think he wrote one for
I think
Obama to Nixon. Yeah, I don't think it's incompetence. I just think it's it could be a tad bit of it could be ignorance as well. But it's hard to examine Trump, and I kind of just gave up.
Yeah,
like it's hard to examine
it
this man.
It definitely is difficult. But in some other related news, I know y'all heard Paul Manafort flipped, I believe. So now, so he was facing some like 80 years in prison. So he is now cooperating with the Mueller investigation. I think they dropped his sentence down to maybe 10 years. It sounds like he's providing them with some information. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see where this goes in the next few months. We do have some elections coming up in November, so make sure y'all go out and vote for that. That's going to be extremely important.
Okay.
So let's move on. Y'all ready for this next topic? Or you got to...
Well, Les Moonves.
Oh, yeah.
The CEO of CBS.
He's out.
Yeah, I think I don't know what the correct term is. Is it forced to resign or pressure to resign or?
I'm sure he's pressured to resign.
Pressure to resign. Julie Chen, his wife.
Yeah.
She's the host of Big Brother, the host of The Talk. The Talk kind of had an awkward episode where they had to address it.
Yep.
They had to address Les Moonves. She wasn't on the panel, of course, because that would have been too awkward.
Yeah.
It's a tough space.
I'm curious what Julie Chen is going to do because I know she's kind of a fixture there, and now that her husband is gone, will she continue to stay? That's something I've been thinking about. I couldn't see Big Brother without her. Like I love Big Brother, and she sort of was a fixture.
I can see her staying on Big Brother in the Talk, but I mean, as far as as their marriage, I just want to know, do we have proof yet?
I mean, but I don't know if y'all saw Big Brother on the past Thursday, but she at the end, she rarely says the Moonves in her names, but she said signing off. What's her first name? Julie Chen Moonves. And that's the first time she's ever done that. So it's sort of like she solidified, her.
Standing by her man.
Yeah, she's standing by her man. So we'll see what happens with that. But things are being shaken up right now. So we'll see what happens with CBS and their issues. But yeah, moving on. Let's get
wait. Before we move on, what do y'all think about that Dallas shooting?
Oh yeah. Oh, we didn't get to talk about that one. All right. This still perplexes me because I don't know how someone can mistakenly go into the wrong apartment and then shoot that person because they think they're breaking into their apartment that's not theirs. I'm just still confused by that. It makes no sense. And now they're trying to slander my man, saying we found marijuana in his apartment. Like, who cares? It's his apartment. He can do whatever he wants in his apartment.
Shot for marijuana now?
But it's in his apartment. Like, this is his property.
Where's the search warrant for her apartment? Was there a search warrant for her apartment?
But the interesting thing is that they gave a list of all of the stuff they recovered, and most of it is like police gear, police equipment, and then marijuana. So I'm assuming it could have been hers, and they just sort of framing it on him to make it look like he was the one who had it. Who knows?
I think it took too long to arrest her. And did they do any type of toxicology reports on her? Did they make her do an alcohol or drug test or anything like that? Because they said she, had worked a full shift, and they said it was 12 hours.
Right.
And they said it was 15 hours. And if you acting like that after a 15-hour shift, then you don't need to be a cop. And this is not the first time that she shot somebody.
Exactly.
She shot somebody on duty, I believe they said about a year before.
Yeah. I really do think they're hiding something, or just at least trying to cover it up for her to make it look less intentional. But I think the manslaughter charge needs to be, up to at least, first degree murder, because that's just no way.
But I think that she's going to get off, and there's nothing that we could do about it.
I don't know if you could get somebody off on that case.
I think she's gonna get off.
It's worth considering.
I don't know, because if you look at beyond reasonable doubt, there is no reasonable doubt. She shot the man. She shot and killed him. Her only argument could be, yes, maybe she was tired or she was, who knows? But even if I'm tired, I know what floor I'm going on.
Jaded because I watched the George Zimmerman trial, and I'm like, there's no way. Yeah. There's no way that he's going to get found not guilty, and he got found not guilty. It wasn't even deadlocked.
But I think his parents, though, because his parents were St. Lucian officials or something like that. I think that's going to play into it because there's no way, they're going to find her not guilty, and this is the son of someone a prominent government
official
person
in another country.
Right. I don't see that happening, but we'll see. The justice system is flawed.
All right, so I'm gonna let you start off. So hip hop corner.
Eminem responds.
Right.
What you think?
I'll let you go first.
I thought it was everything MGK critiqued him for. Like,
Flipped it back around on him.
like all the words and stuff like that. It was a better diss than MG. I don't know. I just rather listen to MGK's diss than Eminem's. If I had to pick up the better one, it would be M's diss. But the one I would rather like listen to me that was sonically better, it would be MGK's diss.
That's funny, man, because I like Duppy Freestyle more than I like Story of Addion.
Yeah.
Do you?
I do, because I just think Drake flows better. I mean, Pusha has better lyrics, but I don't know. I like Drake's flow. But go ahead.
For me personally, I really like Eminem's, rebuttal. I think that he has so many like layers into it, like complexities in his lyrics that you do got to listen to it on a different level. I think, surface level when people are just trying to hear like the jabs, sometimes it could be a little bit covered or veiled. So you got to think about it a little bit more. This album, I think it was like sort of a good response because he did take what MGK did say and sort of put it back on him and flipped
the song, not this album. The song.
I'm sorry, the song. He flipped it back on him. And so I think that I liked it. I mean, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's the greatest thing I ever heard, but
Listen,
it was solid. It was good.
Compared to like Go to Sleep with DMX and Obi Trice, like this is M and average. Like, M did his job. He responded as a MC. He responded to MGK. I don't think he killed him, but I feel like it's just usual white on white crime. You know what I'm saying? Like,
MGK on Twitter, he called it a leg shot, and he called it a kill shot. He called it a leg shot.
It's almost like, but it's like when you got a team that's really good. Think about like LeBron James and the Cavaliers a couple of years ago, and they're playing the Pistons. They're not gonna go that hard. They don't have to play that hard to beat them, right? So he threw out enough ammo out there.
But did he beat him? I mean,
just
I feel
to
like
get the job done.
I feel like it's a tie to me. Like Eminem is a better rapper than MGK to me, but I feel like this whole thing was kind of like a tie so far. It's like Eminem said, "Look, I'm gonna give you a little bit of publicity by responding to you, and then I'm gonna go away." I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's because he's getting older. He's a little bit more mature now in his lyrics. So
yeah, but I think based off the fan response, and obviously Eminem has a larger following. I mean, he was trending on Twitter for a while. Everybody was just like, hyping it up.
We gotta stop mentioning the sales because the sales don't mean anything. We gotta look at the content. Oh, MGK's best album doesn't go against Eminem's worst album in sales. I'm like, forget the sales.
And now, like with sales, like I mentioned to Anthony before, like there's so many things that they include in sales now that's not necessarily music, and then like the whole streaming thing is not as precise and regulated as a hard album sale is. Like you bought the album. But now it's like if you listen to the album, like if it's streamed like 1,500 times, that's one sale.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
So shout out to Nicole. Nicole sent me a video. It seems like Amazon and Lexus might have a beef with Eminem. So let me just play this video. This is Nicole talking to her Amazon Alexis. So hey Randy, do I just hold this to the mic? Okay, so this is pretty funny, y'all. Listen.
Alexa, play Kill Shot by Eminem. Here's a sample of Rap Devil by Machine Gun Kelly on Amazon Music.
And that's Patty.
Turn this off. Alexa!
Hey, Alexa's Patty though.
Yeah,
she knows what she's doing.
Nicole's just freaking out like, what the fuck?
That's funny. But so you think it's a tie? I'm giving a slight advantage to Eminem just based off of just his abilities and all that stuff. His back. He's Eminem.
It's like I told my friend Anwar, who's a big hip hop fan. Shout out to him. He's a rapper as well. He said to me when Rap Devil dropped, man, if he don't respond in 48 hours, M trash. I'm like, man. 48 hours. I'm like, listen, man. Like, even if he responds or not, I'll be good with it because I liked how Marshall. His interview with Sway was pretty enlightening.
I saw some of it. Yeah,
it was actually pretty good. And he said like, I'm in this weird position where if I respond to him, I'm making him bigger. If I don't respond to him, people gonna say I'm going soft. So I just don't know what to do right now.
Yeah.
And then Killshot drops 2 days later.
But there's something that's magical about the rap beefs, man, that we need to get back into. Like, like rap beats where you solving your issues through, through wax, like you putting it on tape.
Yeah.
We don't have that a lot anymore, and I think that a good one.
It's best to keep it wax.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that this is sort of what people are kind of need. What's going to energize hip hop again? Because now, I think some people are a little bit, I don't know, jaded by where we going in
The
terms
lines
of.
are like blurred between like hip hop and like so many genres. Like,
Yeah.
I want to listen to R&B without cussing. Like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
cussing on R&B records. It's like, well, when did this? Like, I don't know. Like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
With
Like-
time, we started becoming more accepting of provocative themes and provocative things with explicit language, and it just happened with time.
Yeah.
See, Prince knew how to say provocative things without
No, but
cursing.
In
Yes.
a suggestive way. Right.
And I think Frank, who was, really talented to me, he likes to curse in his record. So,
Yeah, I agree. I chalk it up to just being a day and age. I don't know if y'all were able to hear, and I don't think you heard No Name.
Yeah, no,
Her
that's
album.
album.
It's a really good album. I heard the first like 5 tracks today, and I'm feeling it. It's called Room 25. So if y'all, just in case y'all want to listen to it, definitely download it. I stream it, iTunes, Spotify, whatever. But she did a great job. She's awesome.
I listened to Black's album, but I don't know what is that.
is his name Six Lack?
It's Black.
I thought it was six
It's not
leg.
Six
Yeah,
Flag.
I swear.
It's Black.
How do you get black with a
Out of
6
with
in
a
front
6.
The 6 is like a lowercase b.
of? Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's
Alright.
and then he's still kind of irritated with that. What people call him Six Lack. Like, we're programmed to see 6 and lack.
Right,
So-
right. Because we're competent
It's
human
like
beings.
P rhyme, prime. It's prime, but people call it P rhyme. With Royce and
Oh.
Premier.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't listened to it.
So I never got into him. So is it better than the first album, or is it just like in a new direction?
It's not like a slump, like, because I really love the first album, but it's not like the sophomore slump, kind of like what happened with Bryson Tiller, where the second album just was not good. So I like it. I'm enjoying it so far. He has a J. Cole feature on there that I really enjoy, and a future feature. So yeah,
All right, 6 lakhs. All right. Do your thing. 6 lakhs.
There's 2 upcoming releases I'm excited for. Lupe is dropping.
Yeah.
It's finally dropping Drogas Wave, and it's a 24-track album, which
You
is
said finally.
24.
that's a
track.
body of work, man. That's
20.
a body of work. You don't see rap albums like that no
That's-
more,
yeah.
unless it's a mixtape.
That's a double-sided album. 20.
And
Is
then-
it gonna be? See all these like tracks like on his songs, and I feel like people are doing that to kind of take advantage of the whole streaming thing.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it might be better than the last one, Drogas Light, because I think Drogas Light was a bunch of throwaway tracks. He even said it himself. Like, that was a bunch of tracks he was making during the whole Atlantic fiasco. But Swiss Beats has an album coming out, and his I've always liked his instrumentals, so I think his track list looks kind of impressive with the guests he has. It's executive produced by him and J. Cole, so that's interesting. Yeah.
I was gonna say, well, Lupe, my biggest fear when you got 24 tracks, at least half of them aren't gonna be that good. Honestly, like,
We talking about the man that made The Cool and Tesso and Youth.
but are all
Tesso and Youth is a pretty solid album.
yeah.
It's a great album.
Yeah.
I love
I'm
that
just my
album.
biggest fear is like 20. That's pushing a little too far, man. I'm sorry. That's a little too
Well,
many.
how
That's-
many songs was on the Chris Brown album? Like 48.
That's true, right?
I didn't hear it.
I didn't listen to that one, but that's
Heartbreak
why,
on
because I'm not
Full
listening to
Moon.
48 freaking songs. I'm straight. But
How many singles is it? Like he like drop off of there like 10.
probably something like that. Well, there's been some good music out, so I'm looking forward to those. Let's go ahead and move on to your 2 cents. Your 2 cents.
Yeah. Let's do it, man. White Boy Rick.
Oh, how was that?
Went to see it last night. It was pretty decent. It was a decent true crime film. The actors were great. The young man that plays Rick, he's a breakout star from this one. I can see him going places. Matthew McConaughey did great in his role. But other than that, I feel like if you know the story of White Boy Rick, he was a young man who was about 16 who was dealing drugs. At first, he was an informant for the FBI, and then after that went kind of sour. He decided to go out on his own and sell some more, and he went to prison. But the people who were caught in this whole conspiracy who went to prison, including the crooked cops, the dealers, they kind of all either died or got released before him, and he was still in prison.
Hey.
Like, he just now got paroled last year.
It's crazy.
Like that, it was crazy. It was crazy. He's like one of the most he's one of the nonviolent inmates like that have served one of the longest sentences in prison.
How old is he now?
I think homeboy might be in his 40s.
Man, that's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. But the film does a good job. I say it's a good one-time watch. I feel like with certain true crime films, if you don't have that Scorsese pizzazz that he gave to Goodfellas and Casino, I don't think it needs repeat watchings. Like Black Mass, I love that film because of Johnny Depp's performance, but I wouldn't like watch it again.
Right.
So I put this in that same category. It's a great one-time watch.
See, for me, I need to stop going on Twitter and hearing like people's comments because some people didn't like it.
Well, some people didn't like Upgrade, and I saw that last night with my girl too.
Oh, you want to see all the movies?
Well, no, I saw that at home.
Uh-oh.
Upgrade is a very good B horror thriller, man. I feel like it took it back to those times where it's a crazy concept and it's all just like started and completed in one film. Yeah, it's a good B movie. The end twist is kind of like, well, okay, all right, I'll give you a pass for that storytelling wise, but I feel like it does its job with the visuals. The violence is pretty extreme, but it's good. It takes you back to RoboCop, kind of.
Okay.
Like the original one.
Well, I know for me, I was watching this Netflix series called Last and First, or First and Last.
What is that about? I saw the.
So it's essentially about it's documenting inmates on their first day in prison and then their last day. It's really interesting because it gives you like sort of these two perspectives on the nervousness that both people are feeling. Like this is anxiousness of getting into the system, and then anxiousness of finally leaving the system, but figuring out what's next. And it gives sort of an in-depth look into their lives and talks about how they got there. And each episode has a different story on like 3 or 4 people they go through. So I highly recommend that one. It's really good.
That has to take a long time to make.
Yeah, for sure. And each episode is about 40 to 45 minutes. So it's extensive. So I don't know how long they were filming, but probably for a good almost year, I'm sure.
Shayna, what have you seen?
I haven't seen anything. I'm trying to think if I see anything new on. No, I haven't seen anything new since the last time. I tried to watch Iron Fist, but I keep falling asleep.
Iron Fist is trash.
The second season, I saw like the first 2 episodes and they are good.
Yeah.
Like they're better than the whole last season. Just the first 2.
It was something about Iron Fist. I just can't get into it. Like, I never liked it for some reason.
I kind of came to a revelation.
Oh, I finished watching Ozark.
Oh,
yeah.
The
So-
second season of Ozark.
Is it good?
Yes.
Okay, me and my girl still gotta watch it too. I gotta wait on her because we didn't really start the show together, but we started the first season together. So yeah.
Yeah, it's cheating if you don't.
Yeah, you gotta wait.
You gotta wait.
I came to a revelation over the weekend though, like in tribute to the new season of American Horror Story. Like I think the first season Murder House, like that pilot alone, I think that's probably one of the best pilots I've ever seen because like so much happens in that one like 60-minute block. Like it's just like unpredictable, a hot mess, comedic, disturbing. Like that's kind of like Ryan Murphy's writing.
Yeah.
I feel like that pilot like was kind of great. Some critics didn't know how to take it because it was all over the place, but I feel like that's like a master class in like writing.
Yeah. How did you feel about the new one? Did you see it yet?
Oh no, I didn't see it yet. I'm starting way from the beginning. I mean,
Okay.
I seen the first 2 seasons already. I'm just restarting them and then just going straight through.
Oh, you haven't? You're not caught up?
No,
Okay.
I just know it's the Coven in the Murder House. That's all I know.
Yeah. I mean,
And the apocalypse is happening.
apocalypse is happening. I'll just say first episode, I don't want to give too much away, but I feel like I've spent my time losing interest a little bit.
Already? Did you watch the last season?
I watched the last season,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So we'll see. I'll give it a look. I continue to go through it.
I think that's a show you need to binge watch though.
I think so.
If you watch it week by week, you do start to lose interest.
Yeah, that's true. 'Cause typically, I know the last few seasons, I just waited until they were all out.
I watched the last season week by week.
Yeah.
Cult.
Was it? Yeah, cult. Yeah, it was just so funny. Like the lesbian couple, getting into it because one voted for Jill Stein.
Yeah.
Right. There is some comedic commentary there.
There is. It's. I like them. Okay, I like some seasons of American Horror Stories better than others. First one for sure. Second one for sure.
I hear a lot of people like Roanoke.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That one.
That was a really good one.
I like the whole,
especially the spin they put on it.
The spin they put on it.
Yeah.
I like Roanoke. I like Coven.
I didn't care for what was the circus? What was the Freak Show?
I didn't finish that season.
I did not care for Freak Show.
I didn't even finish that one.
Trash. Yeah, but keep watching it and then catch up. We talk about it later.
Yeah.
So should we get into this main topic?
Yeah, man. Let's go. All
right.
I'll let you start it off.
All right. Let me give a little bit more.
Keep it sensitive.
Right. So we're basically the topic's about sensitivity training, right? And how we're kind of overly sensitive to things in our society and how that can be detrimental, to I think in many ways to our just ability to communicate, work with each other. I'm sorry, people.
Okay.
Let me stop touching it. I'm sorry, people on Facebook, if you see. And so one of the biggest questions is, do you think that our sensitivity and our sort of, do you think we're just too sensitive to things? And I know there's a Norm Macdonald, there was a situation where I think, and I saw this on Twitter, I don't know if it was on Twitter, he posted a statement talking about how he was showing compassion towards Rosie O'Donnell and Louis C.K.
No, Roseanne and Louis C.K.
Oh, sorry, Roseanne.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Roseanne and Louis C.K. And he's getting a lot of flack for it.
Well, it's just multiple levels here. So basically, you want me to just tell it?
Yeah, just.
So he gave support to Roseanne and Louis C.K. saying, I think it was in the interview piece before it went on Twitter.
Yeah.
He said, I those are my friends. Roseanne was crying on the phone. Louis was disturbed and all. Well, not disturbed, but he was sad. Yeah. And I was like, man, like they lost all their careers. I'm like, did the victims have to go through all that too? Mm. And that statement was kind of taken in the wrong context. Well, not the wrong context, but it offended people.
Yeah, because
it's offensive.
Yeah,
and sometimes people pull parts of a statement out and they use it like to sensationalize things.
Right, and then he went on Twitter the next day saying, "Hey, I realized what I said offended people. I'm sorry." And then he went on Howard Stern. And he was talking about Howard Stern. He said, "Yeah, man, part of my routine." Well, I'm paraphrasing here because his routine is like deadpan and kind of being just dumb.
Right.
He's like, "Yeah, man, you got to be somebody with Down syndrome to not have sympathy for what happened there." And then he got dragged again because he said, "You got to be somebody with Down syndrome."
Right.
It came to the point I saw my man on The View, hat in hand, like, "Yo, I'm done. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry." Like,
it's rough.
But I'm like, did it have to go there? Did I have to go with my man being on The View, hat in hand?
Yes.
You know what?
I don't know, man.
I have two frames of thought. My first frame of thought is that when you're sensitive about everything, you sort of diminish the value or the actual the actual issues. Like you sort of lose something within that. So, and then I'm on the second frame of thought is like, you need to understand people's perspectives and how that can offend someone based off your statement.
Exactly.
So it's tough. It's tough. I mean, there's sort of this balance between the two, feeling.
I was talking to our number one fan, my girl, and she said we got to examine this from two different viewpoints because she helped me kind of like see where we should examine this. We should examine this from being straight up too sensitive, and is this an uprising against things that have happened over time?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Shayna, what's your response about the Norm Macdonald thing? Did you look it up or did you?
I mean, you sympathize with a racist and a sex offender.
That's not all those people are, though.
But that is, you're sympathizing.
I can't do that.
You lost your career because you were being a racist. And you lost your career because you took your dick out.
I understand all that, but you can't just.
They didn't ask him to take his dick out, and he took his dick out.
You can't just put a footnote in this man's career and say you a sex offender at the end.
Why not?
I can't.
That's
do that.
the problem.
I can't do that to Louis.
We allow sexual predators and white supremacists to roam free in the entertainment industry.
Well, he lost his career, though.
So what?
So what? He lost his career.
Like we allow these people to roam free within the industry.
So he can't eat no more?
Get another job.
He can't redeem. He can't redeem himself and eat no more.
Redeem how you redeem yourself and pull your
Maybe
dick out.
Right, that's true.
maybe contributing to organizations that fight against that kind of thing with people in power abusing their power. Maybe he contributing to these organizations.
But I think it's going to be diminished because since that incident is now viewed as him sort of trying to make up for
this is
what
the problem.
he did.
This conversation right here. But go ahead.
No, but
Wait. I need you to expand on that.
Because I understand people were hurt, and he got his just due. He got his just due by being alienated and losing his career. But I'm saying, where's the redemption there? Does he ever get to eat again, or is he just exiled forever?
But I mean, the court of public opinion will never let you live this down. That's the issue. But I think that's a good thing though, because when you have someone who, in certain situations, you can't really gloss over the fact that he just put his dick out in front of these women. You can't gloss over that.
It's a disgusting thing. I understand.
You can't gloss over that.
And he did that because he was they were up and coming actresses and comedians, and he was an already established comedian, and he was exerting his power over them in a sexual way.
Yeah, we can't.
Right. He got punished.
But we can't let...
Did he, though?
Yes. He
How?
lost
He's
everything.
Still a
he lost his
millionaire.
Well, you can't take his money.
He's still
he lost
a
his
millionaire.
sponsors. He lost his sponsors, lost his show, lost everything he was doing. Go ahead, Eric.
He's still a millionaire.
We can't take his money? You can't take his money?
But you're saying he lost everything, like he's poor and destitute.
Well, he can't
and
work
he's
no
not.
more. He can't work no more.
So what?
I mean, actions
you
have
can't just say
consequences.
so
though.
what, because
Why
there's no more new revenue coming in. There's no more new income coming in.
That's
you can't
not
keep
my
that millions.
problem.
It's not your problem. It's not your problem. You can't keep your millions forever.
And exerted
that
it in a
dwindles.
sexual way over people he felt like he had power
And he
over.
got punished.
How? He's still
he
a
lost
millionaire.
all his deals.
He's still a millionaire. I don't feel sorry for millionaires
I'm not asking you
that
to.
are sexual predators.
This
I'm
is the
sorry.
sensitivity. This is the sensitivity.
Oh, I'm being sensitive?
You know what? But we can't let our personal feelings of these actors, comedians outweigh their actual behaviors. Like, he could be a great comedian, great artist, but at the end of the day, he's a flawed human being. So we got to call him out for being a flawed human being. Yes, we all are, but there's consequences to your actions. If he did this action knowing that there's going to be repercussions, he's going to have to deal with the severity of repercussions, even if he doesn't like it. So yes, he may be feeling a financial burden from this, but that's his doing. I mean, it's ultimately his fault. So, I mean, I could see if it was something where, somebody put his pants down on purpose, then they claim, oh, he flashed me. That's different. But it's been noted, it's been clearly written that he did this to these women, and now he's got to face the consequences of his actions. I mean, that's as simple as that.
I don't mean to put you in this place, man. I'm sorry, man. We go back and forth. I'm sorry.
No, but I think this is a conversation we got to have, because there's a difference between something being taken and misconstrued, like a statement being misconstrued, and someone doing an action that is affecting someone physically or mentally, emotionally. For instance, if you would have said something that, was mildly insensitive, and then it blew up, and then he lost his job for it.
Right.
That's a little bit different.
You may have an argument there.
Yeah, you may have one there, but in his case, he really did put his pants down and flash these women his penis.
Yeah. No, I understand. I understand completely.
But, I mean, I do agree that, again, if we're outraged about everything, we are diminishing the things to really, truly be outraged about, right? But it's also perspective of, or it's this idea of perspective. So, for me, it may not be outrageous for me, but if it's someone who I'm offending, for them, that could be an extremely, rude or insensitive thing. So, it's about having this balance. I think it's about sort of cultural and sensitivity and competence and understanding what you can say in a certain situation and what not to say. And we can't, just because someone believes what they said is not offensive to them, doesn't mean it doesn't offend someone else. So it's just like a fine line we got to sort of balance. And especially nowadays when everything's on social media, everything can be blown up and taken misconstrued, you have to be a little bit careful with what you say nowadays, especially if you're a celebrity.
There was, I can't think of his name. It was a comedian where he did like a thread of tweets where if you took one without reading the one before it and the one after it, it would look like something offensive.
Right.
I can't remember his name though. So like it was easy to take, the one tweet out of context, but it was like a whole thread of tweets.
Yeah.
So I would get if somebody, lost their career or lost their endorsements over, the one tweet when he was just basically trying to make a point, like where you have to read everything within its context, but that's not what Norm Macdonald was talking about.
I mean, so what do y'all think happened? I feel like 20 years ago, comedians could say a lot more. Back in the 70s on various TV shows, with All in the Family, they was talking like blatant racism.
I watched
All in the Family.
Delirious.
Oh yeah.
I watched Delirious the other day. The first 30 seconds of Delirious would never fly.
Serious?
But for obvious reasons, though.
Like
He dropped the F word a lot.
Even some of the Dave Chappelle skits, and this was back in 2002, 2003. Nowadays, it'd be like, oh, he might be in trouble for that. Like this.
Well,
so what? I mean, what happened? Has our awareness been hyper? Are we hyper aware now, or is it just more so this society has shifted to?
I think it is a response to everything going on. I mean, I think it is a response to the presidency. I think it's a response to our culture and about, racism and prejudice being more blatant in the United States. Because I think this is an American issue. I think this happens in America, and I think this is a response to that. Like, I want to comment on Dave Chappelle's latest comedy specials where he did kind of toggle that line. He talked about Louis C.K. and other things. He talked about transvestites and stuff like that, and it was seen as offensive, but... he had a funny line where he was like, hey, I'm on my way out. I can say this stuff and leave and be okay. Like, so I'm going to, say what I need to say.
I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
About the comment? Like, it was, like, that's the thing. Like, we've had this conversation before about what can be said within the realm of comedy.
Yeah.
Like, those things weren't done with, like, on the comedic stage. Like... Roseanne is a white supremacist, and it wasn't like she was doing the stand-up. These are her tweets, and she was talking about a politician, and she called her a monkey, a black politician.
I mean, but what's the line between being, provocative and funny and just being outright disrespectful? I mean, especially comedy is blurred. I mean, a lot of times, we're just used to comedy where people say things, they push that boundary.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think there is a line in comedy. I don't think there is. I mean, because... you never know until you cross it, or whatever that line may be to prepared on who the audience is. Like when Tracy Morgan made the joke about, oh, I find out my son is gay, I'm shooting him or something. Yeah, like just a stupid one-off joke because Tracy Morgan has stupid one-off comedy. Right. Tiffany Haddish, they asked her about Bill Cosby. She said, "Shit, I mean, I'll take the drink. I'll take the drink. I'll do whatever." And but she was joking. It's Tiffany Haddish being Tiffany Haddish, and she got dragged for that and had to apologize. And then, you even have the nice guy. Well, not the nice guys, but you have guys like Henry Cavill, who plays Superman in Man of Steel and Justice League. He said, I thought it was kind of hard to approach a woman to date her in the Me Too movement because I was like, if I approach her, does she think I'm going to be a person that wields my power by just approaching her, or does she think I'm going to be a predator? And, some people came at him for acting like that, but he's like, that was a legit feeling.
It's a legit concern.
Yeah.
I definitely can see why it's hard. Like, it's hard to be in the spotlight at this moment and sort of speak and just talk on any subject, because there are going to be people who don't agree with it, and now everyone has this microphone or this megaphone where they could just say, I'm offended. I'm offended by this. This isn't right. And then it's going to spread like wildfire. It's going to be retweeted a million times, and then you're going to look at as the bad guy, even though you may not have said something with that intent. I think it's really about intent, but for us nowadays, it's hard to judge intent based off of just a small segment of someone's comment. Like, if they could just take a whole paragraph and just take that one line out of that paragraph, obviously it's going to sound bad, but it doesn't mean that your intent was to, as you said, like with the stream of tweets. It depends on how you meant to say it, or what could have been taken out of that could have been misconstrued. So it's tough. And I think sensitivity is one of those things where we do need some training.
We do need training.
We do.
Yeah, I do think we need training. I think it's getting too much. It's getting too much.
In every facet.
What do you mean, we need sensitivity training? Because, training implies ignorance.
I think a lot of people are ignorant. I think a lot of times people just don't know.
It depends on what you're talking about. I agree with you.
Yeah, because when you don't have to interact with different communities or certain groups of people, you make assumptions based off of what you've heard, what you see. And it's not until you actually interact with them on a daily basis that you can sort of understand that those things may be stereotypes or that they may be false.
I think that. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. But I think that people who aren't given the opportunity to interact with different cultures, different groups of society, they need to have someone from those groups actually sit down with them and talk to them about what is right. What's the right way to say something? What's the right way to approach someone in certain situations?
I think there's a difference between ignorance and overthinking. Because there may be a degree of overthinking, like, you know, like the Bye Felicia thing, that was ignorance on the person who said it on their part. But there could be other instances where somebody might be overthinking, like, okay, what did that comment just mean? Like, what did he or she mean by that comment? Was that geared towards me or my culture, or geared towards not just Bye Felicia, but just other things that could be said? I think it's a matter of like overthinking something and just being ignorant of it.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, but I think so. Do y'all think like jobs, a part of your job orientation, should you go through, you know, some type of training, like legitimate training?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to do quote unquote civil rights training every year. But you can't train hatred out of someone.
Yeah. I mean,
the hatred isn't the main like force of what we're talking about here. Some of it's hatred, some of it could be sexism. I feel like you can train sexism out of a person because you just don't understand that other gender.
I think to an extent. I think that when you're dealing with gender related issues, it's about putting yourself in that person's shoes, right? You know, as a man, you know, men we everything's done from the male's perspective, and
yeah,
so
like even the entire workforce,
right.
Like the whole thing is sexist,
right?
Like from the top all the way down is sexist.
So when the system is already broken, and we're sort of living in a broken system, it's difficult to.
I mean, you can
shift that.
Train a man not to say anything sexually suggestive to me, but are you gonna pay me when it's time to go on maternity leave?
Yeah.
And there's different forms of sexism.
There is. That's a good topic, too, because I saw a show on Netflix about that and the difference in pay between men and women. And, yeah, it's a whole nother topic. But
it is.
I mean, like, listen, when I say it gets a little too much, even when things that are, like, not as big and degrading as what Louis C.K. and Roseanne did, you know, people kind of lose jobs from it. Even when somebody's changed and it's from the past. Like, we can talk about James Gunn and how he can't direct Guardians 3 because of tweets from his past when he was a troll.
Right.
And, you know, Disney already addressed it when Guardians 1 came out, I believe, and said, okay, he's not like that anymore. But now you're firing him because the pressure's on you. You're Disney. You're supposed to be a utopia of happiness and understanding and, you know, Mickey Mouse. And then, well, I was going to say one other thing. Then there's the woman that when the president barricade came through and she flipped them off, lost her job over that. She deserve to lose her job? I don't think so.
So there's that is one class, and we talk about leadership and sort of ethics and leadership. And we talk about how if there's a darkness or some type of negativity within an organization, you have to treat it like a disease, right? And so you have to call it out for what it is and then do things to prevent that from spreading. So, and just like in society, you got to call it out. We may not like it. It may not be pretty, but I think you got to call it out for what it is so that we know moving forward what we can and cannot say. It's just a learning thing. So it's teaching kids now, like, hey, what you put on the internet can be used against you 20, 30 years from now. You know, what you say jokingly can be taken as something offensive. And so I'm just making that awareness so that we know, like, all right, there's boundaries that we have to walk in life, and crossing those boundaries does have real world repercussions for you. You may not like it. I mean, I think that's the best thing that we can sort of pull from this. I mean, it may not be what we want to hear, but I mean, I think it's just something that people need to acknowledge.
I'm a little lost. So you're saying so what? Go ahead.
So essentially, we have to call out. You got to treat it like a disease. We got to call it out and we gotta just call it for what it is. So if this is racism, sexism, whatever ism it may be, we need to call it out, eradicate it, and then just sort of work towards preventing that from happening and spreading further.
Okay.
Right. And so being afraid to not voice your concerns. So if you know like this is sexist, it can be taken as racist, not being afraid to just call out for what it is. And so hopefully that prevents it in the future. Yeah. But I mean, for me though, I just think that sensitivity is something that we have to remain. I just don't see an issue with it. I think we just got to call it out for what it is. And it may be oversensitive to some person, but I think it's sort of just that's how society should be. We should be able to work with each other in terms of like calling out issues, isms when we see it, and hopefully we can grow a society. But who knows?
I mean, I think if you're sensitive to something, yeah, you should call it out and address why you're sensitive about it. That should happen. We're not saying that shouldn't happen. I'm just saying that,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was pretty much done.
Oh, I mean, like to call it like, oh, you're being sensitive. I kind of it's like to me, it's like a dismissive term. Yeah. Like if you are genuinely offended, you should be able to say something about the situation, and then instead of people defending their right, like I get, I mean, yes, Louis C.K. is a sexual predator, but he did apologize. Yeah. Roseanne defended her right to be racist, to be a white supremacist. She didn't, she didn't make any apologies until maybe after she lost her job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was after she lost, yeah. And there's a sense of privilege, too. I think your privilege allows you, at least in your mind, to feel like you can say things. If we don't check those privileges, people are going to say stuff freely and...
But then, I'll go.
No, but that's how you get in situations like with, Donald Trump. He just feels like he has this privilege. He can say what he wants because
he's been saying
he's been saying what he wants, right?
But then there's that Kanye effect though, because Roseanne, like him, they're medicated. Yeah. So is it totally coming from a racist place, or is there a little bit of insanity in there too? Not insanity. I don't want to be harsh.
I'm not gonna let him off that easy though.
Yeah.
No, I'm not telling you to let her off. I'm just saying though.
I mean, but you know how people
medication don't make you racist.
Right. Have you seen people who like?
You'd be surprised.
But that's like shooting somebody. That's like shooting somebody and pleading insanity. Like
don't infantize racism to make it seem like I'm
going
to baby you and give you an excuse as to why you're a white supremacist. It's the drugs. No,
I didn't say it's all about the drugs.
I mean, but I wouldn't even give that an option. That shouldn't even be an option in that case. Like,
then why did people give it an option when Kanye said what he said?
I mean,
why?
I don't agree with a lot of what Kanye said.
It ain't about agreeing with him. It's about not ignoring that fact.
I don't know who you follow on social media, but I've never seen anybody give him that excuse. Oh, he was high, and that's why he said that.
But I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying that's the Kanye effect, where there's also a medication problem as well.
But I think it's also looking at Kanye has privileges as well. Being an influential person, having money, being his artist. He has sometimes that gives you people the privilege to say things in certain spaces. And just because he's Kanye West doesn't mean that what he said wasn't, bad or wasn't something that we need to like call out. But I think that he feels that he has this platform. He's going to use his voice in this platform because that's the privilege that he has. What ultimately we need to do, though, is that we need to realize that, first off, check y'all privileges at the door. As a man, I have a privilege over women that I have to see and I have to acknowledge, right? So if I know that, I hold this power as a man that a woman may not have, I have to be able to call other men out when I see things going on that aren't right. That's the only way we can make things change. That's why I think other artists, in Kanye's case, other artists have to call Kanye out. And they did.
And they have.
Yeah.
And he also apologized for the slavery comment very recently.
Mm-hmm. So it's a tough one.
Well, he also didn't face any type of, he faced backlash, but the backlash wasn't financial. Like he wasn't, like he didn't lose his Adidas contract over it. Nope. And he's still putting out albums. Artists are still letting him produce their albums.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's a general sense that, it's Kanye. Kanye's Kanye.
Kanye's always been Kanye.
But I think again, we have to understand that there's people who are on the outskirts who are marginalized in various ways, right? And so being able to understand their plight, understand where they're coming from, and just basically, just basically see things from their point of view is going to be important. And a lot of people don't do that, right? They don't take the time to just sit down and experience like, all right, you know, these comments for me may not be offensive, but if I was this person who was this marginalized group, you know, I would feel a certain type of way, right? And it's just basic, just common courtesy. Just, I don't even think it's really anything else.
Do you think like, empathy can be taught?
Empathy? I think empathy can be taught. I think you can create examples in someone's real life to sort of get them to see that perspective, right? Just like some people may not empathize. Well, just like Black people may empathize with, or Jewish people may empathize with Black people because they understand, like, all right, you know, our people were were slaves, their people were slaves, whatever. You got to find commonalities to sort of get you to see on their level, right? So I think it can be taught. I don't think that, and I think training, and I hate to use the term training because a lot of times, like you said, is like the connotation of like an animal being trained or being taught or beaten out of a certain thing or being told to submit in a certain way. But I think that there can be, I don't know, like opportunities for development and growth. I put it as that over training, right? So just learning cultural competence, learning how to interact with people, building your knowledge, your skill set, your understanding of how to interact with people from different backgrounds, different groups. I think that can be taught. You just staring at me, right? You feeling the type of way, huh?
I agree. No, I agree with you. I just don't have much else to say. Well, I do, but you know, time's almost up.
Oh, I thought you being a little sensitive right now. All right. Any final thoughts regarding this topic, guys? It was a heated conversation. I thought somebody was about to start swinging.
Nah, man. No, that would never happen.
I don't fight dudes.
I don't fight women.
I know.
Fight dudes.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. There needs to be two sides to this, and there needs to be the side of teaching empathy if possible, and I do think it's possible. I like to be an optimist. Yeah, I think we have a way to go. I don't think we should be like over defensive or over offensive either. Like I feel like there needs to be. It's hard to reach a balance in American society. So I feel like we're still working on that.
Mm.
I think we need to be, you know, more aware of, you know, sometimes the intent and, you know, the context so that we're not being, you know, offended for no reason. But we also need to not be dismissive of those who are offended.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with both of you all. I think sometimes we got to pick our battles wisely. You know, I think that if you are going to call someone out, make sure it's in the proper context, make sure that it's for the right reasons, because you don't want to create a situation sort of like the boy who cries wolf. And not saying that anyone who says something that's insensitive is crying wolf, but ensuring that if something does come up, make sure that it's make sure you do your research and due diligence before we jump on someone and put them, you know, find them guilty in the court of public opinion, because that happens a lot of times. But this has been a very interesting topic and debate. We definitely follow us. Follow us.
Like and share, subscribe. Yeah, we gotta get that YouTube page going.
We got like 2 YouTube videos in there. We're gonna add some more. So you better follow us on YouTube.
I gotta find time to work on it.
It's been another great episode. Talk to you all next week.